Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tradition Kitchens, our third annual Latkes for Hanukkah cooking party. We are so happy to have Heidi and her family here. I'm Julia from Tradition Kitchens. I'm going to spotlight the amazing family chefs to say hello and welcome. I'm also having some fun internet adventures today. So if I suddenly cut out, I've frozen on your screen. I apologize, but Heidi and family is ready to keep the excitement going. We're expecting a wonderful crowd today from all over the world, which is always exciting for us. So let us know where you're joining us from. Feel free to write it into the chat or raise your hand if you want to be part of our kitchen cam where we spotlight folks and we do introductions. I am so excited to have you all on gallery view and seeing people joining us on video, which is really fun. I see Jess and Tate, you made it from Hawaii. Can we have you all say hello? We're so excited to have you here. Add you to our kitchen cam spotlight.
Hi, we're so glad to be here. We make terrible latkes, so we're hoping this year is different.
I hope we can help.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And are you guys doing okay with the volcano still?
The volcanoes have both stopped, actually. So no more volcanoes, but Tate does have COVID, so we're masked, and he has to wear gloves so that we don't make COVID latkes.
Yes, yes.
That's not the kind of Hanukkah surprise we're hoping for.
No.
Well, I hope you feel better, Tate, and these latkes will be healing for you. I'm so glad you both are here. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Good to
Got Miami, London, Oregon, Southwest Denver, a local for us, Philadelphia, Brooklyn. Wow. So exciting to see everybody from all over. Welcome to our home and our kitchen here in Golden, Colorado. Well, I think Julia's frozen again. So just, hi, Lily. Oh, I see a friend of ours from college. Julia and I knew her. I'm so glad you joined. This is great. Tradition Kitchens. This is our third year teaching it. And oh, there's Lily. So good to see you.
I was trying to find a picture from your wedding that I knew I would have, but I couldn't find.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so happy to see you guys.
So great to see you. This is what's so wonderful about Tradition Kitchens. Friends from near and far can join us, and it's like you're right here in our home. And we're gonna hope to make some new friends today too. I see we've got some friends we already know and lots of friends here to meet. So we're really excited to cook with you all today. Oh, it looks like Julia's back.
I'm back. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Of all the times for my internet to have adventures. But hey, Heidi, you are awesome. This is great. Anyone else want to say a quick hello on the kitchen cam before we kick off? We've got about 40 people here, which is awesome. Philip, can I put you on the spot calling in from Brooklyn? It's so great to see you here. If you don't mind unmuting and saying hey.
Sure. Hey, this is Philip Hales coming from Brooklyn. I'm waiting for my partner to arrive with the ingredients. So this is vamping for the moment. But I am super excited to be here. I made the connection via Julia. We're both internal communications professionals. And
that's great.
Also, as a fellow member of the tribe, was kind enough to invite me to join today.
Yay, we're so happy to have you here, Philip. Can't wait to see how your latkes turn out. Thanks for joining. All right, we have lots of folks who've said hello in the chat, and Heidi called out. We've got Michigan, we've got Miami, Portland, London. Utah. Would you like to say hello? I think it's late there for you, so we understand if you're not quite ready to say hi.
But hi from London. Hi.
Hello. So nice to have you join us.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Great to join in.
We got Boston, I see. All right. Well, Julia, you just let me know when you want us to get going here. Otherwise, we'll just enjoy meeting everyone in the meantime and drinking coffee. Coffee is crucial.
Then can I have some?
No. Oh, we've got Melbourne, Australia, 8 a.m. Sunday morning. Oh, breakfast latkes still in PJs. You know what? PJs are good for cooking any time of day. These girls would probably still be in PJs if I didn't make them get dressed for this.
Well, I want to invite everyone, if you are open to our Tradition Kitchen selfie, which is where we take a quick selfie and smile for the camera to celebrate our time together. If people want to quickly flip on your cameras, this is my fake kitchen, by the way. This is not real. So wherever you're calling in from, you are welcome to be on camera and just get a quick snapshot for us. So I'll just call out a few folks. Thanks for joining us, Greg, Susan, Nate, Stephanie, Diane. Anyone else want to join us on camera? We would love that. All right, I'm going to take a quick picture. So, oh, here come some more folks. All right, 3, 2.
Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, come back. 1. Amazing. And hold on, Heidi and Asaf and family, I got to get just one of you all, as our tradition is here. All right, 3. Lily, you're still in this one. 3, 2, 1. Yay. Okay, over to you guys. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. This is so special, our 3rd year. And the show is over to you guys.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. Like Julia said, this is our 3rd year teaching this Latke class, and we are so happy and excited to be doing it. This has, sharing our tradition has become part of the tradition. So, we've been making latkes together for a long time. The girls have been my sous chefs since pretty much as soon as they were big enough to stand up and hold a knife or a spatula. We love to cook together, and making this tradition to teach with Tradition Kitchens has just enriched our family even more. So we're so glad to have you here. We are making a gluten-free, grain-free latke today. We're going to make the most basic, which is just with potato, onion, salt, egg, and potentially some extra potato starch if we need it. But you can jazz up your latkes once you get the basics down. You can add chives, you can add paprika, you can add garlic powder, you can add curry powder, whatever you want to make it your own, but we're going to give you the base to spruce up. The latke is the Yiddish word for what we're making, basically a potato pancake. In Hebrew, they're called levivots. One is a leviva. So, you've got a lot of different words for one delicious thing. So let's get started. We're all going to wash hands. Let's wash hands because it's the most important part. You need some soap? Here you go. Some extra soap. Wash the hands. All right, so we're going to need to shred up our potatoes. I've got them all washed here, but we don't have the eyes taken out. So do I have a volunteer to just check for any eyes and cut them out?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thanks. Okay. We also have our onions here. I've already got them just peeled. I tried to do it earlier to get the stingy eye stuff out, but I just peeled them, I cut off the ends, peeled them and cut them in half so that they'll fit in my food processor, which is right here. If you do not have a food processor, you can do this the old-fashioned way, but you are going to have some store arms by the end. I have my food processor fitted with the shredding blade. All right. And we've got lots of bowls because we're going to need to put our ingredients in separate bowls at first. So we're going to start with our onions. Do you want to go ahead and burn those up? Sure. And if you're cooking along, if you have a question as we go, just feel free to give us a shout out and we'll stop and see if we can answer your question. We might have to shove that a little bit hard to get it to work. Okay. There we go.
I'm so mesmerized by this cookies and art. I just got one myself. It's like so much fun.
It makes it so much easier. Right, go ahead. Okay, and the ratio I'm doing is, oops, here's my reach. 2 onions, 2 whole big Costco-sized onions. If you have little tiny onions, you might want to grab another 1 or 2. These are, we'll go big out here. These are big Costco onions. We're doing 2 onions to 4 huge russet potatoes. Go ahead. And do a couple more pieces. Right, that's just going to stay stuck in that. Okay. I'm just going to put this on my board over here. I'm going to hand chop this a little bit so we don't waste. You want to chop it? Okay. Here, there's a knife right here for you. Remember your knife?
Are you okay? You just banged your hand against the blade of my
That's fine. Okay. So we now have most of our onion. Nafna's going to chop us a little bit more onion. But the way that we're able to make these gluten-free, part of the way, there's two tricks to it. But one of them is we get, and not just gluten-free, grain-free, is we have to get almost all the moisture out as much as we can from the onions and potatoes. So I've got cheesecloth. It's a little bit doubled up here. If you don't have cheesecloth, you can use a really fine weave tea towel. Because we are going to take, let's see.
There's a question if this is the same recipe from last year. And the
It
answer
is. Yep. So we're just going to take handfuls of our onion, pop it into our cheesecloth or your tea towel. So to make it into a little ball and squeeze out the liquid as much as we can. You're going to have tired hands after this. You want to do this job instead? Sure. We're all going to get a little teary in here because these are some angry onions.
Oh no.
But we promise we're having fun. So you get out as much. I got out so much moisture. I've got a little puck here. We're just going to put our onion in here for now. Okay, so grab your handfuls of onion, squeeze it out.
Don't touch your eyes.
Yeah. Got it? You know what? I'm going to chop up the rest of this onion.
And why is it so important to get all this moisture out?
What's that, Julia?
Why is it
Oh,
important to
why
get
do you-
the
Oh, okay. Because first of all, your Latkes aren't going to stick together very well if you have a lot of moisture in your batter, in your mixture. It's just, we're going to add a little bit of egg in a little bit. That's going to be a little bit of moisture. We want the egg to be what binds everything together. And if you have too much moisture, the egg isn't really going to mix in very well, and you're just going to get a big sloppy mess. This way, we take out the moisture, we replace it with the egg, which is binding, and that helps hold it together. The other reason is we are going to be cooking these in oil, which is why they are part of the Hanukkah tradition. Hanukkah likes to celebrate the oil. The story goes that there was only enough oil for the lamp for one night, but it burned. It burned like our eyes are burning. It burned for 8 nights. So during Hanukkah, it's tradition to celebrate with oily foods cooked in oil, like the latke or like a sufganya, which is a Hanukkah donut. Also, those are deep fried. So maybe not the healthiest holiday, but the tastiest for sure. So we are going to be frying these in oil. I like to pan fry. If you have a deep fryer at home, go for it. All more power to you. Probably faster and easier. You can't see.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So if you have a lot of moisture in your batter, when you drop it in the oil, you're also going to get a lot of crazy explosions happening. Anything that's too tough, just pop in your compost if you have one. Just getting it kind of chopped up as close to what the food processor would do as possible, keeping the fingers out of the way. And I'm going to put this in with the rest of our. Okay, we're going to open the window to get a little bit of eye-saving fresh air. You want to keep going? I'm going to cut it.
It's worse than you there.
It's a little bit of a time-consuming process. That's why I like to make a big batch of these all at once. Just set off, block off an afternoon or a day and make a huge batch because they also reheat really well. You can reheat them under your broiler. You can't reheat them in the microwave, but they lose some of that crispiness. Or you can throw them in a pan. They usually have a lot of oil still left in them, so you don't even have to add oil to the pan. Usually, if you have like a nonstick, you can just pop it in there.
The dicing was just of onions, so we're still in the onion department.
Yep.
Ayala over here is still
Prepping our potatoes.
de-eyeing the potatoes. She's doing it very, very slowly.
I can't figure out what's an eye and what's not.
Well, when in doubt, chop it out. We don't need to keep this onion water, so you can just do that right into your sink if you want.
Let's see, which blade did you use for the Cuisinart?
I used the shredder, which now has little pieces of onion stuck in it, so you can't really see the little detail.
We have a quick question. Are we supposed to peel the potatoes completely or leave any skin on?
It's totally up to you. I like to leave the skin on because that's where a lot of the nutrients in the potato are. I mean, there's nutrients inside too, but there are some good nutrients in that skin. So I like to just to leave the skin on, but you are more than welcome to peel them if that's your preference. I like to peel potatoes if I'm not able to find organic ones. So it's totally up to you. They will work just fine both ways.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Back down to the bottom of our onion, thankfully. Hopefully, once I dump this onion juice, a little water here. We don't need the onion juice.
Heidi,
Hopefully-
if you're using a Cuisinart, what's the blade? It comes with it. It's like
Yeah.
a small one. I don't know what it's called though. Does it have a
Let me
name?
rinse it so you can see the detail better. Mine's got a little bit of onion stuck in it right now. So you can't really see the detail.
Oh my. Stick on and off.
I think it's the shredding option, but I will have to look up.
Yeah. Oh, it just says there's a number on it. It just says DLC-7M. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like a cheese grater, but going in a circle.
Yeah, great camera work, Asaf. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've got our onion ready. We're going to set that aside. Rinse out. Our Cuisinart, you don't have to rinse it out, but because our eyes are all stinging, I'm anxious to get as much of this down the drain as I can.
I have to give a shout out to the apron game of this family. Everyone has the best aprons. Nosh now, fetch later.
And that means have a snack now, complain later.
The floral and butterflies. And show us your pockets. Oh my gosh, you have goggles on?
It helps with the onion.
Brilliant. I love it.
We love it.
That first is on a pocket.
We love it.
Ooh, horses. And who's the doggy? What's his name again? Mishi?
Mish, mish. Mish, mish, over here. Sit. Yep, mish, mish, sit. Oh, we were gonna dance, so now I have to wash my hands again because I touched your little self. This
Yeah,
is mish, mish.
Yeah, mish mish means apricot in Hebrew.
Yep. We adopted her 2 years ago already. She's 4 now. We got her as an adult dog. She was our COVID pet, but we love her far beyond COVID,
And
thankfully.
now she's our cleanup crew in the kitchen.
Yes, she's our floor cleanup crew. Highly recommend.
Very
One of
helpful.
one of the reasons she's named Mish Mish, which means apricot, is because when we first got her, she used to poop right next to our apricot tree.
That was the only place she pooped for a while.
Yes,
Good fertilizer.
yes.
All right, so Ayla, do you have, okay, so Ayla's got some potatoes done, or 8 potatoes done. We're gonna get started.
Working on it.
I'm gonna just chop it so it fits in here. Right. We're gonna start shredding our potatoes.
Yay, potato stuff don't sting your eyes. I have a sugar shredding too.
That's fine, that's not mine. Okay, these potatoes are really fresh, so there's not a whole lot. I'm gonna go ahead and shred those and I'll prep the rest of these. We just need 4 for now. Yeah, I cut it out. We're gonna change up the valve. Yeah, the ratio we're doing is 4. Is that full or you got room for a couple more?
Oh, that room.
That's your 3rd potato, right? Yeah, and then you should start with 4th. So you're doing 4 big potatoes to 2 big onions.
It is the same. It is the same disc on the
Yep.
food process.
All right, this one looks good. Chop it in half. Go ahead and shred that.
My beginning kind of full.
Getting full? Okay, well, that's our last one anyway.
Finally singing. Go get some goggles. It's really helping. I think I'll just get a
Pro tip from the kids, goggles help apparently with the onion stick. All right, so I'm gonna give each of you girls a bowl for squeezing. Now,
Let me get a piece of gum so that
now we are going to squeeze the potato. So now you see we've got our shredded potato. You're gonna, just like you did with the onion, you're gonna fill up handfuls, but in this case, with the onion, it didn't matter where you squeezed the liquid because we just dumped it anyway. With the potato, you're gonna want to squeeze it into a bowl. You can see just that little bit of potato, how much is coming, how much liquid is coming out of there. You're gonna want to save this liquid for now, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the liquid stand for a few minutes when we're done. Let's get this big bowl going here for our you're gonna let the liquid stand when you're done, and we're gonna let all the natural starch, the potato starch, settle to the bottom. And it's gonna feel almost like cornstarch, kind of like one of those non-Newtonian liquids, as non-Newtonian solid liquid. Okay, kind of like cornstarch. It's gonna get real funny feeling at the bottom. We're gonna pour off the water from the top, and we're gonna keep that starch from the bottom, and we're gonna put it back into our mixture. This is another way that we're able to make these. No, put it in here. Actually, no, let's put it in this big one. I'm gonna set you girls up with the big one between the two of you. So you can put your finished squeezed product right in here. You can each squeeze into these bowls. Here, you can have my cheesecloth. There you go. I'll cut another piece so I can squeeze along with you after I chop up the rest of this potato. And that potato starch is another thing that's going to help bind this together when we cook them. Also, I wanted to mention there are two schools of thought for latkes. There are the ones that have like the little potato pieces all jaggedy sticking out the edges to get nice and crispy. That's our school of thought. We like those ones. So you can see this is a really big shred. And when we make our latkes, it's going to look kind of like this with all these jagged edges sticking out. And those are going to get so crispy and delicious. I prefer them that way. Some people like to really like mush this up even further. You can if you want. Once you've shredded it, you can put in this blade into your Cuisinart, and you can just turn that almost the potato into almost a paste. And then you can make the latkes that look completely even on the side, almost like a true pancake, if that's your jam. I like the extra little crispy bits that hang out the edge. So we stop at this, but if you wanted to chop it up further and really almost make like a pourable, you can, but that I think you lose a lot of that crispy deliciousness. So while they're starting to squeeze, I'm just chopping the last little bit of this potato that the Cuisinart didn't get, so we don't want to waste.
I think I need a bigger piece.
Okay, I'll cut you another one.
Is this as much as I can squeeze this out? Roast potato.
Let's see.
Okay,
That's
I
all.
thought it would be fun to pop a poll up here. So if you are on Zoom on your computer, it'll be easy to see, it'll pop up. But the messy look with all the, latke pieces going everywhere, or the mushy look, which one do you prefer? More of the pancake? So there's the unofficial vote happening, and I'll keep it open. Curious what this crew thinks. More artistic, or both are different art forms of artistry in the kitchen. Anyways, I'll keep it up for like 30 seconds more, and then I'll announce the results.
Okay. I'm going to cut another piece of cheesecloth so I can help squeeze. So it's good for your hand strength, all the squeezing. Luckily, Ayala and Dafna Ayala plays the viola and Dafna plays the violin. So they have good, strong fingers and strong hands from all of that practicing.
I have to cut.
I love it. Okay, the official results. This is a messy crowd. So 93% voted for your style of latke. I think you have influence, Heidi and family.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. We also have, I just want to point out on hand, I'm not sure if we'll need it or not, but we have a bag of extra potato starch. So we are trying to preserve the starch from the potatoes right now. And oftentimes that's enough starch. But if we find after we get everything ready that it's just a little bit, yeah, you guys squeeze in here. It's okay. That if you're still a little bit too soupy, you can add some extra potato starch. If you're not trying to do gluten-free or grain-free, you can throw in a little bit of flour or matzo meal to help bind them up. But I also like doing it this way because you just get complete full potato and onion flavor. You don't get really, anything else going on. So when you add a grain in there, I think you dilute the flavor just a little bit, but maybe that's just my opinion. All right. Okay. And we have at the end, I've got ready in the fridge some sour cream and some applesauce. Those are the two most popular serving suggestions. So if you want to put a topper on, here's another poll you can do if you want, Julia, sour cream or applesauce or both. I'm in camp sour cream. But we do have some.
Although I'm camp plain.
You're camp plain, okay. I guess that should be a choice too. Neither, both sour cream or applesauce.
I'm applesauce.
You're camp applesauce.
I like my latkes plain because everything else dilutes.
Everything else dilutes the flavor. I respect that.
Not really dilutes it, but
Your appearance.
yes, I'm a purist.
That's okay. So
I don't mind.
I like sour cream, but that's because I like dairy on everything. All right, thanks for being patient with us here while we squeeze all of our potato. Those of you cooking along at home, how's it going? If you're able to pipe up, if you're not too busy squeezing your potato.
I'm taking a look to see who's Katie and Diane. Do you want to spotlight and share? I'll try to add you guys. See how it's going in your kitchen.
We're just watching right now. So we've been going back and forth with like, okay, you could do this with a sweet potato. You could do this with different kinds of potatoes.
Oh yeah, you could definitely do it with sweet potato. By the way, I didn't mention, thank you for bringing it up. I have russets here. Russets generally, if you are looking for a white potato, they are better than Yukon Gold for this kind of activity. They just, the type of starch and the way they cook up is generally recommended over, a red skin potato or a Yukon Gold. So good old russet for these. I like those other types for other things, but you could do a sweet potato latke. Sweet potato with a little bit of curry powder in it is really good. That's a favorite variation of mine.
I know Trader Joe's has a cauliflower one too.
Oh,
Yeah, Trader Joe's has I guess in the freezer section.
Frozen section,
Yeah.
I have cauliflower latkes, but we've never made them like this from scratch, so we're excited to try it.
yeah, and I did this with zucchini over the summer when we had actually I guess this year we did yellow squash, but last summer we had a bumper crop of zucchini. It was just insane, and I was out of ideas. I made as much zucchini bread as we could possibly stand, and so I started making zucchini latkes, which are really good. So this is a basic technique that you can use and adapt in a lot of different ways. But I will say, if you're going to use zucchini also, zucchini has a ton of moisture in it, and you're going to be a lot more successful if you squeeze out the moisture of the zucchini like we're doing here. You could do 50-50 zucchini potato. The potato gives it a little bit more hardiness. I found when you do 100% zucchini, it's a little bit hard to get it to stay together. It gets a little bit more mushy, crumbly kind of. So I kind of like to do.
For this one.
Heidi, I popped up the poll.
Oh, great.
What
Let's see what
toppings do you prefer? So we've got 80% of votes in. Applesauce, sour cream, both or neither. I forgot to put an other. So the other folks will have to pipe in and share a suggestion because I have an other actually.
We did have a question about the zucchini one.
Yeah.
Would you add the matzo? What would you add to it to make it a little stiffer?
I've had good luck just mixing in a little bit of potato. That helps. But if you're trying to say avoid nightshades, or trying to avoid potato for dietary reasons, you're going to have to go with a grain. So yeah, I would use a little bit of matzo meal to help it set up and get a little bit more stable. Because the zucchini on its own, once you squeeze out the water, it's just a little bit too fragile.
Good to know. Yeah, great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
The results are in. This is Team Applesauce with 37%.
Wow.
Then sour cream at 20.
Okay.
Oh wait, I went out of order. Both sour cream and applesauce, 27%. then sour cream, then neither. Anyone have a favorite topping that was not included that you want to share?
Avocado.
Oh, my mom pipes up avocado. That's an interesting one I've never thought of.
I tried chutney once, so making it very international.
Yeah.
Sherry said maple syrup. And then there's a question here. The recipe states about 4 pounds of potato. How many pounds of onions?
That was a good question. Let me get out my food scale real quick and measure. I can show you. I use these nice big Costco onions. So I'm not 100% sure. I have starch in my shoe. Let's go here. 100% sure what this weighs, but we sure can find out.
Well, as Heidi weighs, Bob has a very high culinary. Can you tell us about this? Caviar and lox on top of your latkes?
Oh, sure. So this looks like 1 pound, 11.7 ounces. So a little bit over a pound of onions. Again, your onion size is going to vary a little bit, but I like to get 2 big ones here that my hand doesn't even fit around these. So you want to go around a pound, a little bit over.
For 4 pounds of potatoes.
For 4 pounds of potatoes, yeah. And again, I've got these big russets, so we can see what it's to tear. We can see what these 4 weigh. These ones are about 2 pounds. So you might be able to go, and again, it depends on your potato size. These ones are a little bit smaller than I usually get. So you can go, I would say about 3 pounds to a pound, 3 pounds of potato up to a pound of onion. So we may need to add more potato. I see these potatoes are smaller than the ones I usually get, but we're going to mix it all together and see how it goes. That's why I always like to have extra of everything on hand, so that if when we get our mix going, it doesn't look quite right, we can always adjust. So now we've got our dried potato. You can see how nice and fluffy and dry that is. We're going to add our squeezed onion. Oops. Pull out, we got like a big piece here that didn't quite get chopped up by the processor. Pull all that out.
What's your thing? Replace with water.
Okay, and I like to mix in the onion before I add any of the liquid stuff because it's going to get more evenly distributed. If you mix in first, if you put your liquid first and then you put your onion, it's going to kind of get more clumpy around where the liquid is. So doing it dry gives you a good chance to get it all equally mixed. Okay, now, yes, I would love your help. Can you please crack these eggs into this bowl? Okay, crack those.
Yeah, container.
Oh, yeah, here's our trusty compost container.
That's not what do you have on your hands.
Dragon tattoos? Temporarily.
Better be.
Excuse me, cameraman.
Okay, I asked this question to all of the cooks on Tradition Kitchens. How do you make sure you don't get an eggshell in when you crack an egg? This is my...
Yeah, I think Julie might have frozen. So I'll finish her thought for her. Do you know why Dafna's cracking these eggs into a separate bowl?
Good job.
There you go. And again, sometimes your eggs are bigger than other times. That's why we have this extra potato starch in case we need it. If these eggs are really big and we end up with too much liquid, then we can counter that with a little bit of the extra potato starch. Okay.
Okay, and that was the original recipe was 4 pounds of potatoes, right?
I think it was 4 large russet potatoes.
Oh, for not pounds.
I don't think it was pounds. I think it was 4 large russet potatoes.
How many eggs are you using there?
We've got 4. The box says large, but they're just kind of your average size eggs. Did you get me?
Okay.
You good? Okay, now,
Mhm.
yeah.
How much eggs?
So it's 1 pound of onions to 3 pounds of potatoes, or 4 pounds of potatoes.
Yeah, we have some correct answers here in the comments. Why she's cracking the eggs into here, not directly into our big bowl. And that's so it's easier to go fishing for shells if you get any. Which looks like she did a good job. We don't have any shells. And guys, someone had a question again about the recipe. So I generally go with 4 large russet potatoes to 2 large onions, but in the past, my russet potatoes have been really big, almost, I think, close to a pound each. So it comes out to be, almost 4 pounds. But if your potatoes are a little bit smaller, that's okay. You can always add an extra potato. My favorite way to do this is just fry up my first one. And if I don't like it, I can add another potato. I can add another onion. I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that type cook. If you want to be extremely precise, I would say kind of meet in the middle, about 3 to 4 pounds potato to 1 to 2 pounds of onion, depending on how big your potatoes and onions are and how you like it. If you don't like a whole lot of onion flavor, you can use less onion. If you love a real big oniony flavor, you can put in some more. All right, can one of you girls grab a whisk, please, and whisk this up? So we've got our eggs. If not here, it's just gonna whisk these up for me real quick.
I can do it all the way.
Yes. So now, if you want to do a close up, you can see we've got the liquid we squeezed out of the potatoes has been sitting here for a couple of minutes. Doesn't take long. And if you see, as I start to pour here, so residue stays in the bottom. That's the potato starch, and the liquid here kind of flows. Now it's starting to all get mixed back together because I've been messing around with it. But so we'll let this one sit a little bit longer. But I allow, if you want to take this bigger bowl, and she's just gonna. Real quick, you want to do it a 1, 2, 3, so you don't lose a lot of that potato starch.
So
Just 1, 2, 3, dump the liquid.
like that.
Yep, perfect. Now stand it back up. Now all this in here,
Wow.
this is all potato starch.
It's like
Here, stand up a
oobleck.
second. Yeah, it's like oobleck. So you take this, you can see this is all potato starch. You put pressure. Yeah, you put pressure on it. It kind of becomes a solid. Then you let it go, and it becomes a liquid again. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and scoop that into our bowl of potato and onion, please?
This mixed.
Yep.
So like this.
Yep, and you can just scrape that all over. Yeah, that looks great.
What's your preference in terms of onion, yellow or white?
I just use the yellow because they have a nice big flavor. If you're not a big fan of the onion flavor and you just want them in there for a little texture, you can use the white. They tend to be a little bit milder. I also just buy whatever they have the biggest bag at Costco because those are the cheapest, and we use a lot of onions. So you could also use, I wouldn't use exclusively scallions because they're not going to hold up enough. But if you wanted to put some scallions in for extra color and flavor, you can supplement your regular onion with scallion. All right, good job. I'm going to see if we have any. No, we got a little secret stash of potato starch here in the bottom of our mixer too, just from sitting there. So go ahead if you want to scrape that in. Now, do you want to dump this one? Sure. So real quick, it's a 1, 2, 3, dump into the sink so that you don't mix it up with all that bottom stuff. Yep, there you go. Now that needs to get, that's the potato starch. Yeah. And that needs to get scraped into the big bowl. So we can get it here.
Heidi, have you ever tried red onion?
I have not tried red onion. That's an interesting question, how that would work.
It sure makes it colorful.
It would make it colorful. I just wonder if it would oxidize and look weird, or like make the whole thing look kind of weird. You know how like purple cabbage sometimes makes stuff look like bleeds into stuff, but it might be interesting. I would be really curious. If somebody tries that, let me know how it feels. All right, so we have our egg just lightly beaten, and that's going to go in here too. And I always like to have extra on hand. If we find we need another egg, we can throw it in. If we find we need more potato, Now we're gonna salt it. Got my handy dandy sea salt. And I'm just gonna do a fairly generous zhuzh of salt.
Dusting.
Dusting, yeah, if you like a lot of salt, go heavy. If you are avoiding salt or, don't like a whole lot of salt, you can
Mix
do
it
less. Yeah, go ahead. Get in there with your hands.
My
That's the best way to do it. Yep. Okay, 1 moment. My friend who's a chef, Chef Laura, if you ever see this, thank you for the tip. Chef Laura always says, clean hands are your best tool.
That's what my art teacher says too.
Yeah. Well,
So
you know what?
the clean part.
There's a lot of crossover between art and cooking, right?
Yep.
While she's doing this, getting it all mixed up and as homogeneous as she can, I'm gonna go over here and start getting our pans heated. So I have 3 different kinds of pans, mostly because I don't have 3 of the same kind. But I think this will be an interesting experiment. I tend to favor cast iron for this, but in order to get as many of these going as fast as possible, so that we aren't here all day waiting for all of our latkes to cook, I'm going to get all my pans going. And I think it'll be a really fun experiment to see how the type of pan affects the outcome of your latkes. So I have just your general non-stick. I don't know. They say it's like the ceramic without the chemicals. We'll see. Hopefully that's the truth. We have just a regular old cast iron, just like your grandma had. And then this is a Cuisinart stainless steel. So I'm gonna get all of these going to about medium high. And I'm using avocado oil. It's a little bit pricey, but it's a great oil. You can also use sunflower oil, anything that's high oleic. I prefer sunflower or avocado, but you can also use canola. Oops, don't need any on the back. There we go.
Would you say this is mixed enough?
Just a second. All right, so we want to pour enough. This is, like I said, this is not a health food, although, you can make it without grain or you can make it without gluten. We're still not talking healthy here because look how much, go ahead, how much oil we're putting in these pans. Yeah. Does it hold together when you form it into your little bit?
Let's throw it.
I'm gonna go a little bit more.
Then you want, if you know that it's ready, if you can form it and it doesn't fall apart very easily.
Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of an art to getting these into the pan because it's not going to stick together like a matzo ball. This isn't like the consistency of like a dumpling dough. It's going to be a little bit loose in your hand. Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to add a little bit more to the cast iron. There we go. And keep your oil handy because we're going to need to probably refill as we go. Also prepped, I have a tray here with just some brown paper bag in it. This is great for soaking up your the oil as it comes off. If you have like an oil drip rack, use that. You can just use paper towel on a cookie sheet. But just like your traditional grocery paper grocery bag is great for soaking up the extra oil. And then I have family heirloom here. I'm assuming you might recognize this from way back in the day, cooking with your grandmothers. Just one of these Corral Corningware things to put once they've had a chance to soak off the oil. We'll stack them up in here and we can put them in an oven to stay warm. Coffee break. Don't forget to hydrate. Everybody,
Yeah.
hydration break. Hydration station. Hydration important. Okay. I hydrate with coffee, which is probably not so effective at hydrating, but. Okay. And the way I like to test if your oil's hot enough to start putting your latkes in, take old-fashioned wooden spoon and put it in the oil all the way down to the bottom. And this is not hot enough yet because I don't see little bubbles starting to form. You know your oil will be hot enough when you put the end of your wooden spoon in and all of a sudden little bubbles will start to form around the base. So none of these are hot enough yet. So we're just gonna let those keep. Yeah, be careful shaking the water up. I think it's gonna hear the oil. That's a recipe for disaster. So let's check our mixture here that I mixed up for us. Let's see if this is moist enough. And let's see if it's dry. You don't want it too moist and you don't want it too dry.
I think it might be a bit moist.
A little, let's see. So when we make these, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a handful, put it right in the palm of your hand like it's an egg. Kind of cup your hand a little bit. And then cup your other hand, squeeze them together, squeeze out if there's a little bit of extra moisture from that egg or left in the potato and onion. And you're going to get, you see, kind of get a puck.
No bubbles.
Let's check the comments here, see if anybody has any questions you missed.
There was no baking powder, right? No.
No baking powder.
I see very tiny bubbles on the
Tiny
screen.
bubbles, so we're getting there, but not quite right. No corn oil. I'm not really familiar with corn oil. I haven't used it much. If it's high oleic, you can go ahead and use it. You just want to make sure that it's got a high smoke point because you don't want your oil burning before your latkes are ready. You could probably use peanut oil too, I would imagine. But again, we have some friends with peanut allergies, so we try to avoid the peanut oil.
Is that also the same reason why you wouldn't use olive oil?
Olive oil has too low of a smoke point. So if you use olive oil, your oil is going to start to burn and char before your latkes are ready. And you're going to get an unpleasant taste in there. The other reason I don't like to use olive oil for this is because it does have a pretty distinct flavor. An oil like avocado or sunflower or even canola doesn't have a whole lot of flavor that it imparts to the food. Some people, getting close, but not quite, need a little bit more of a reaction than that. Some people love the flavor of olive oil, and so that wouldn't bother them, but some people don't want to that flavor imparted into the latke either. But you would have, it's not impossible to fry them in olive oil, but you really have to stay right on top of that temperature of your oil. If you get even close to too hot, it's going to burn and give a gross flavor. And you're going to have trouble getting the oil hot enough to really get a good crisp on the latke before it, as it cooks all the way inside.
Not yet. Not yet.
Patience and grasshopper. This is the hardest part. We have to wait. Okay, I was going to go back to the.
Oh, Julian suggested a thermometer that you could, that's very specific. That's the science there.
Thermometer to 350 degrees. Yeah. And you are more than welcome to. Like I said, I'm more of a little bit of this, little bit of that type cook. So I like to just use the spoon trick. But if you are more precise, if you like exact amounts and you like exact temperatures, you can definitely test that oil with a thermometer. And oh yeah, we do have one here. I do 350. I do make sure that my meat is cooked all the way through. So I will use a thermometer in that instance. What else do we hear? Oh, mother would put some matzo meal in the mix. And you definitely can put matzo meal in there. We were trying to make a gluten-free latke. My mom has celiac disease, so she can't have any gluten whatsoever. So I like this recipe because it is gluten-friendly. It's great. A lot of people these days do grain-free or Whole30 or, any of these. And this is compatible with that. But also if being gluten-free or grain-free isn't an issue for you and your latkes aren't sticking together well enough, you can sprinkle in a little bit of matzo meal in there. What else do we have in the comments? Oh yeah, avocado oil.
They can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Heidi, how long have you guys been, or like, how did you first learn to make these latkes?
Trial and error. I tried a lot of different recipes. I used to make them, the traditional way with a little bit of matzo meal and all of that. And then when my mom found out that she can't have gluten, I thought, how can I make these in a way that she can enjoy them? And so I did a lot of, tried a lot of different recipes I found on the internet. This one is pretty close to a recipe from America's Test Kitchen, so I have to give them credit for that. I don't remember what their exact ratios were in their recipe, but the idea of using the potato starch from, because I've always squeezed out the potatoes when I made them, but the idea of squeezing the potatoes into a bowl and then dumping the liquid using a potato starch I got from America's Test Kitchen. So shout out to America's Test Kitchen. How are we doing here? Getting a reaction here. Let's see. Getting there. I want to see a little bit more of a reaction.
Just like tadpoles.
Tadpoles?
Yeah, it's just like little wavy lines.
I promise you there's no tadpoles in the oil. We did not scoop our oil out of the local pond. But yeah, trial and error really just got us to it. And now we're, okay, this one's getting close. We're getting some good bubbles. Another minute or two, hopefully we'll be able to get some of these in the fryer.
And what kind of pan? I see, is one a cast iron and one a
Yeah, so we have 3 different types of pans going. We have traditional cast iron. We have stainless steel. These are a wedding present, still going strong. And this is your standard, health friendly, environmentally friendly nonstick. So one of those ceramic without the PFAS or whatever that they used to put. It's not Teflon, it's the healthy nonstick, whatever that stuff is made out of. So we're gonna have a little bit of a fry off here today, and we're gonna see, okay, this one looks like we got a little bit of steam coming off. So this one might be ready. Yep, check this one.
Can I be on the flipping committee?
If you can do it without hurting yourself.
I can try.
Let's see. We're getting there, yeah. So if you can you zoom in? We're starting to get, if you look real close there, don't drop your phone in the oil. You can, do you see those little bubbles starting to form there around the base? So that's how we know when we see those little bubbles. Let's see. This one, the cast irons are always a little bit slower to come up to temp. We've got some tiny bubbles, but not quite enough. And this one, oh yeah, this one's ready to go.
Start making some.
Okay, so we're right about there.
We had a couple questions if your oil still needs heating. In terms of your stovetop, does it keep a good constant temperature, have you found? It looks like gas, or no, it's electric.
No,
We're
it's
on electric. It's my dream to switch to gas. But we are on electric right now, and you'll notice a little ways into this, once we've been doing several cycles. I'm gonna bring this over here. Once we've been doing several cycles of these, I may have to turn up the heat. And I may also have to turn up the heat after we add more oil, because as these cook, they're gonna soak up some of the oil, and we're gonna have to continue to add a little bit more. Got one? Okay, so now it's got a puck here. Oops. We're just gonna gently let that fry. So I'm forming them in my hand here between my palms.
Well, look, they're swimming. Like moving around stuff.
And you want to give them enough room so that they're not right on top of each other, because otherwise they're going to break up when you try to flip them. If you try to flip one and it's too close to another, thank you. Let's get some going back here. And you are going to have a few strays. That is maybe the downside of the jagged edge ones. And also of doing these grain free, they don't hook quite. Oh, here's a good puck. See this one? So we're going to get a few strays as we go. And what we're going to do is fish those out between batches. Otherwise, just a second, Steve. Otherwise, those will start to burn before your latkes are done cooking, and you'll get a burned flavor in your oil.
Where are we putting them on?
They're going to go on this sheet.
Also note for if they're so hot, don't put them in a plastic bowl. Especially if you're sliding them right in and the spatula is still very hot, because I've made a few holes in one of our plastic things from latke making. So just note, don't use plastic bowls.
You want to lower the heat on that one?
Yeah, can you turn the heat down on that one? That's mid please. And that one got a little hot while we were filling up the other ones here. So that one had a little bit bigger of a reaction than I like, but we turned down the heat a little bit. Here, pop that one right into my hand. There we go. Thank you. Use that one in.
Ready?
Nope.
No?
That's the hard part, is having patience, waiting to flip them. You can always flip them back, but every time you flip them, they absorb up more oil. So they get greasier. Whoops. The more times you flip them. Hold on. You know, I'm going to add a little bit more potato starch to these. It's like they're breaking up a little bit more in the pans than I would like. So I'm going to just add a little bit more potato starch.
It's found a fully cooked piece of potato.
Yep. And also because as we go, you can see there's a little bit of extra liquid. If you look down here, you can see there's a little bit of extra liquid here that started to settle out that we weren't able to squeeze out, and also a little bit left from the egg. So that's making our batter a little liquidy. So I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit more, maybe about a tablespoon potato starch. Mix that up. How's our salt content? Ayla likes things a lot saltier than the rest of us do. We have salt wars at our house.
I definitely say a little more salt.
A little
but
more salt?
It's good.
Okay.
I know. I'll see what you think.
Smoked paprika is really good in these too, if you want a nice southwestern smoked flavor.
Mhm.
Let's just off is a fan of. Okay, that looks like it's ready to flip. So you want to wait till they're nice and golden before you flip them. If you flip them too soon, they're likely to fall apart also.
Need a quick flick.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There we go. See, look at that. Good, nice golden gooey
Yep.
stuff. Not gooey stuff. Whatever.
There you go.
That one's a little bit warm.
That's okay. That's fine.
I think
So you may also need, it looks like ours is not cooking evenly, so I'm gonna rotate this one and this one before we flip them. Because as you can see, this one, when we flipped it, it's like cooked on one side, a little blonde on the other still.
nice special. Okay, this one looks ready.
Yep.
Vodka sandwich.
It is by eye. There's no,
Yeah, there's
Maybe.
no set amount of time, as you can see, and it depends on the pan too, right? So we did fill the cast iron first. So they are we would expect them to be done first, but they are also progressing way faster than our nonstick pan over here. Even though we filled this one last, you can tell they're just not cooking quite as fast either, which is sometimes that's a good thing because you have more of a window before they go from perfectly crisp to burnt. Yep. That
It's on, but
okay, it's still got a whole other side to go. Oops.
they're very slippery.
There you go. I think you need to tend to maybe, this one here might be ready to come out. So maybe move our bowl of batter.
Which one?
This one here.
Okay.
And just go ahead and plop that right onto.
Yeah, I think that's ready.
Yeah, go ahead and pull that
A
out.
tad bit blonde, but a slightly undercooked latte is better than a
Burnt one.
burnt one.
How are you going? Are those ready for flipping? Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead and pull that one out. And yeah, let it have a little like chance to drip off some of its oil.
Mhm.
Otherwise you'll end up with a big puddle of oil like that and you're just wasting it. There you go. The more oil we keep in the pan, the better. And then, excuse me, I'm gonna go for, once she pulls out all of, these guys aren't quite ready yet. Not yet.
I think these guys are ready to flip.
Okay. Mish is hoping that something's gonna fall on the floor that she can scarf up.
Because, of course.
What are we saying in the comments here? Air fryer for Latkes. You know, I don't have an air fryer, so I don't know, but I imagine they say anything that you can deep fry, you can air fry. But yeah,
I've heard
So-
good things about air frying. A few friends have done it, so I'd be curious to hear how
Yeah.
it goes for others.
So this is ready to flip.
not quite yet.
I'll move it to the center of the pan. That seems
Good
very.
idea. And it looks like though we have a few here that might be ready to flip.
Okay.
also center that pan a little better.
This one?
Yeah, just center the whole, yep.
I'm curious, anybody cooking at home? How's it going? Are your Latkes sticking together enough?
I think Sherry said it turned out great. If you want to hop back on, Sherry, I can add you here and show us your latkes. Anyone
love to see
else?
'em. See, oh, those look beautiful. Those look delicious. Careful not to scrape the bottom of the pan with that metal. Sorry. Okay, so
Yes.
Victory over the lot. I'm not seeing a lot of difference between our pans here, except that this one is cooking them a little bit slower. Cast iron's cooking them a little bit faster. So our experiment of pan versus pan versus pan, they all seem to be coming out fairly even in the competition. Now, in between,
Sherry, wow, those look great.
oh, those are gorgeous. We're coming over.
We haven't gotten to the frying stage yet. We're still trying to
Okay.
get the consistency right, so.
Here, let me take a look. What do you got? Let's see.
It's like still a little too wet, we think.
What a dog hair.
Okay, so if you have any potato starch on hand,
Yeah.
add about a tablespoon at a time. Start with 1 tablespoon of potato starch, mix it in. You can also just pour off a little bit of the liquid. If there's actually like standing liquid in the bottom, you can just pour that off into your sink.
Okay.
And then start with 1 tablespoon of potato starch. If you don't have potato starch and you don't
Yeah.
care about grains, you can put in cornstarch. You can put in a tablespoon of matzo meal. There you go. Yeah, and try that just like a tablespoon at a time until you get a consistency that is friable. Yeah, so we now have
Fishing committee.
we now have 1 empty pan, and before
We're smoking.
before Dafna makes more to put in here, I'm gonna go through and fish out as much of this as I can. And don't throw these away. These are delicious. You can put them on your salad. You can put them on top of your omelet. You can do lots of different yummy things with these little shards here. So don't just chuck them. Yeah, we like to use as much as we can, not to waste. But you do want to get them out of the pan as best you can between batches. Otherwise, these little bits that have been in here since the first batch are going to start to burn before your next batch comes up. All right, I think we're
Okay,
ready.
we have some ready to come out
Got some
here.
ready to come out? Yeah.
And
that's looking
possibly
good
some
too.
burning over here.
All right, well, I'm just gonna flip this one again. That one was a little too blonde on the one side.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You please bring over the.
We've got more paper there lined up. Whoops.
These latkes are slippery.
Well, they are covered in oil. There you go.
Oh, just myself to put them on.
Okay. Let's get these out of here. Okay. I think I don't know if you've ever gone to the fondue restaurant, but they call the scooper spoon diver Dan. Because if you lose something off of your cooking skewer, you got to go in with the spoon to get it. So I think of,
Like a lifeguard.
yeah, I think of my slotted spoon here like Diver Dan.
Or Diver David.
Diver David. Oh yeah, we'll go for the Jewish theme. Diver David. There you go. Excellent. So set these aside.
Fishing committee.
Fishing committee. Here, you want to be fishing committee while here we go. Flip that in my hand. So now you can see I added another tablespoon of starch to mine. You can see it's holding its shape a little bit better. Dafna made this one and she was able to plop it into my hand. I can plop it from hand to hand and it's not falling apart as much. I mean, if I were to like smash it, it would still come apart, but it's holding together a lot better. So that extra tablespoon of potato starch, I think it's really going to help here.
Can I help with the fishing committee? Because I don't want to strike. And I'll start taking notes.
Look at that steam coming off, or the frying, I should say. Wow.
Oh yeah, that's ready.
Yep, pull those ones out.
Say, where should I put some answers?
You can just put them right there on that paper next to you. Too. Doesn't matter, there's no can there.
Okay.
I want to get these in.
So what's the secret? When do you know when they're done for others?
Well,
who-
you just out of the kitchen, please, Cindy. When they look nice and brown on both sides, and you know, there's also, it depends how you like them. If you like them really crispy, you're gonna want to leave them in there longer. If you still like them a little bit soft in the middle and not like crunchy all the way through, you're gonna want to pull them out earlier. But part of it is also
the oil splash.
okay.
Yeah, the oil.
It's making sure you get them flat enough. You're making them with the palm of your hand, and when you make them, you're forming them like an egg. But then you kind of want to squish it a little bit. You don't want it to be too round in the middle, or else your edges are going to burn before your middle is fully cooked. And because this has raw egg in it, we do want to make sure that it gets fully cooked in the middle. And also because nobody likes raw potato. So getting it as even an even thickness as possible is going to help you with successful getting a successful cook on. They're looking great. I see them Got some on the ground for the dogs to clean up later. They'll be happy about that. Okay. Let's taste.
What?
A good crunch. What? Ooh. Here comes the cleanup crew. She's learned that the word oops means there's something good for her. Delicious.
Yeah. Not at all. Yeah. You know what? Could use some applesauce.
Could use some applesauce, as she said. Okay.
Let me know anything you guys would start typing them.
The last one here.
Heidi,
Yeah.
have you ever made like a egg sandwich with latkes?
I haven't, but that sounds delicious. Like 2 fried eggs with the bread. Please out of the kitchen now, please. Like 2 fried eggs with bread. Like
Yes.
that kind of sandwich.
Yeah, people are talking about eggs in the latkes. So
Oh, like an egg. What do you mean egg in the latke?
let's see. Like having a sunny side up egg. Hold on.
Oh, on top of it?
Yeah, or
Thank you.
egg McMuffin replacement. Julian, feel free to tell us about your vision of eggs and latkes. Sounds like the Food Network has, so something fun to check out.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
I want another.
My sour cream got frozen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay. A little sour cream on one. Maybe I could have one plain. So my sour cream is a little lumpy because it got frozen in the back of the fridge. But here we have 2 plated up, team sour cream, team applesauce. You can see those nice, okay, come in. The nice crispy edges. And then if we break one open, you can still see it's cooked, but it's golden brown and steaming on the inside. So it's not too crispy and burnt on the inside. You get a nice, delicious bit of yum.
Gloves you would wear to like protect you from elements. You could do like that, right?
Yeah.
Not worry about one.
And I like to undersalt if anything, because you can always add a little bit more salt when they're done cooking. If you do it while they're still a little bit wet with the oil, then the salt will just kind of stick right on there. But you can't take out the salt, so that's why I try to be careful how much salt I'm putting in. I salt on the underside instead of the overside, because you can always add more, but you can't really get it out.
Any ideas for latke leftovers?
Oh, I mean, if you actually are lucky enough to have leftovers, I like to have them with breakfast. Somebody had a good suggestion to have them with some eggs. I just eat them anytime. I like them cold. I like them. You can reheat them in a pan. There's enough oil in them. Usually, you can just do them without any added oil. You don't need to refry them. Just heat them up in the pan and put them under your broiler. I usually do them in our toaster oven. You can freeze them and get them out any time of year.
The best way to reheat.
Yeah, that's the best way. I like them under the broiler personally, because they get nice and crispy. But you're going to want to be careful. They may weep a little bit of oil. So I like to.
It's a bit crispy or not crispy, it's slippery.
Slippery. Okay. We'll put down some paper towel. We don't want any OSHA violation.
What's OSHA?
The Work Safety Organization. Yeah, I like to just pop them on a rack in the toaster oven, but with something below. They might weep a little bit of oil as they heat up, and you don't want that to fall down into the bottom of your toaster oven. Our designated taster eater. What's the verdict? Thumbs up. All right. Yeah, they do freeze well. So that's another thing. If you want to, like I said, these are great to make in a big batch because you got to do all the shredding and the squeezing. It's not the kind of thing you're going to whip out, for brunch every Sunday morning. But if you make a big batch, you can throw them in the freezer, and every Sunday you can just defrost. Bring them back, heat them up, and add them to your brunch. I love the idea of a sunny side egg on top. That sounds really good. I bet the yolk kind of soaking through there would be really, really good.
Another good suggestion is to disable your smoke alarm before
Oh.
you start.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you want one?
That's this one. That's done. Watch out. Hot coming through. You oil it for a moment.
Get a little smoky in here.
Do you ever dab? Is that what you guys are doing? Dabbing the oil off for folks sometimes, or?
We don't, we just kind of let it drain. If you look here, if I come on over here to this previous pan, if you just let them sit, you can see how much oil has already come out. They are still a little bit oily. You could dab them if you wanted to. But so much of the oil just soaks up into this paper. You can see it's gone all the way through, almost to the bottom here. And if you want to get out even more oil, if you've got a section of your paper that's not soaked through yet, you can pull this back and you can set it, and a little bit more oil will come out here. If you're looking for more of a health conscious, but this is Hanukkah, we're celebrating oil, so we're going all in on the oil today.
These make great fire starters, by the way.
Oh yeah, your bag soaked in oil. Throw it if you have a campfire pit. Throw it in your campfire pit, and it's great. Oh, okay, we're gonna turn off the oil on this one. If you don't have any more
Never
Latkes to put in here.
Thought about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, just proceed with caution, as you always would with a fire. But yeah, it helps it burn.
I think if for those of us who are oil sensitive, and I hear you, Wendy, on that, I think you could also dab the oil off, or
You could.
don't tell. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, someone suggested the air fryer, which I don't have any experience with, but you could also probably bake these. If you didn't want to use the oil, I would say try, turn this one off. Yep. I would use something like a parchment paper or a silpat. Just spray it with a little bit of, pan baking spray, and then put your raw latke on there. I'd bake it probably 375, 400. I would use a pretty high heat to get all the way through, and then at the end, maybe just turn it up to broil to crisp it up. It's not going to be quite the same, but I think that would still be pretty good, and a good alternative if you didn't want to use the oil at all.
I was thinking that. I was afraid to say it, so I'm glad the official chef said it.
You please get that.
Right. Okay, let's get some more over here. We made some room, and we can sort of just plop our finished latkes that have had a chance to soak off some of their oil over here.
The other ones should be ready.
Okay, those ones will be ready soon.
Well, at least this one. And this one.
I think
Oh,
that is
Heidi, can
Yeah.
you? I feel like this is a great question for your family. Asaf, do you want to read it?
sure. The question was
Oh.
why some people call it latkes and some people call it latkes.
I think it just has to do with where you're from and what your accent is. So Latkes is the Yiddish pronunciation. Latkes are the American pronunciation, and in Hebrew they call them levivot, so different word altogether. But yeah, Latkes, Latkes, just where are you from?
What about the British pronunciation?
The British? I don't know. We have someone on from London. What do you call them?
Latke, yeah.
Latke.
Latke.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Everything sounds fancier when you say it.
Maybe with my accent, possibly.
Yeah. There we go.
There's a tiny one.
Yeah, and when you're ready to enjoy them, we say in Hebrew, "beteavon," which means with appetite. Beteavon. Yum. I wish you could have a bite. Here, Asaf can have a bite. There we go.
I love it. This is the part where I'm like, oh, why don't we have the ability to taste Zoom tasting yet? Soon. And what's the verdict from the girls? Are you all fans? Did the batch turn out good?
You get some? I don't know where the smell went. Bathroom break, maybe? She approved, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's already had two, I think. So yeah, these little pieces all around here, as long as they're not burnt, like this one might be a little too burnt. But you can sprinkle these on a salad. You can put these in your soup for a little bit of texture and crunch. You can drop them on the floor so your dog can eat them by accident.
By accident.
I dropped them by accident on the floor so your dog can eat them. But yeah, these are great. These will add texture to a lot of things. Texture, flavor. Oh, you ready for more?
Yeah.
Don't throw that good stuff away. I'll try to pop it over here where there's not already been some.
I think we just burned through like 3 of those over there.
It's okay.
That's most oil-free Latkes in winter.
There we go. And turn off our stove. That's the last of this batch.
This is
Anyone else?
amazing. Anyone else want to show us how it's going?
Yeah. So anybody who's cooking along, are you having any issues? I'm gonna come over, meet me at camera 2. I'm gonna come over here and take a look at the laptop here. If anybody's cooking along, I'd love to see how it's going. If you're having any issues, maybe I can help you troubleshoot. If they're looking great, then I just want to give you a big old thumbs up.
We're frying our first 2.
Okay, did
right
the
now.
starch help?
Yeah, the starch definitely helped, and we drained some of the liquid out as well. And Tate's having trouble being patient. He really wants to flip them, and I'm trying to make him wait.
That's the hardest part. You want to flip them, and then you want to pull them out and eat them. You got to wait till they're nice and brown, because if you have to reflip them, they're going to soak up even more oil.
Right. Patience. Okay.
Let's see. Awesome.
You can always tag us afterwards on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll share with Heidi and family.
Yeah, I'd love to see how they come out.
Katie and Diana, I know you've been studying. Have you started your cooking yet? Or just enjoying wine?
We're
That's my
enjoying,
favorite cook.
we're enjoying mimosas and we're trying to follow along because we initially wanted to do it at the same time as you guys. But my car battery died. So AAA is here replacing my battery while we're in the class. So I've been back and forth a lot. So, but I think with all the information that you guys have provided, I think we have all the tools we need. I think hopefully they're going to turn out great. We will put up what I put in the chat, what's your at, so that we can tag you when we do make them today.
Okay. What is that, Julia? Is the at Tradition Kitchens?
Yes, I'll put our Instagram and Facebook in the chat for everyone.
Oh, we have a question. Can the mixture be made the night before and fried the next day? I would hesitate to do that because all of the moisture is going to settle in more. We did a lot of work to squeeze the moisture out of the potatoes and the onions. And as they sit in the fridge, especially if you have any condensation, that's going to soak back in. And you may find, because as the potatoes sit over time, they do weep out even more moisture. And you may find that your mixture is a little bit too soupy. So I would say it's not impossible, but you may have to re-squeeze in the morning. If you did want to try to prep it, yeah, and somebody says it'll oxidize in the potato and it'll turn brown. I mean, these cook up to nice and brown too. So, you know, the end product is nice and brown. So you may not see that it's oxidized as much once it's cooked, but yeah, it might look a little unappetizing when you're making it. If you did want to try to make it ahead, and you didn't care about it oxidizing, you could squeeze your potato, squeeze your onion, but I wouldn't mix it all together and put the egg and all of that ahead of time. I would prep everything, put it in the fridge, and then in the morning you may have to do another re-squeeze. Hopefully it wouldn't be as much squeezing as the first time if you're short on time, but you may have to readjust with the moisture content. Supplying the grandchildren with swimming goggles. I love it. It works. Munching on the Latkes. What's the verdict? Tasty? Okay.
Great. Well, I think if there are any other questions, speak now, because we have Heidi and family here. Otherwise, we can't wait to see how your latkes turn out, and
yeah,
wish everyone a happy Hanukkah. Is there anything more you want to share about Hanukkah traditions? Maybe in the US, maybe in Israel? We'd love to hear how your family celebrates the holiday.
Sure. So we light the menorah here in America. We call it the menorah. In Israel, they call it the Chanukiah, because in Israel, a menorah is any light or lamp. So to specify between any old light or lamp and the one that you use during Hanukkah, they call it a Chanukiah, which you can probably hear comes from the word Hanukkah. So both when we're here and when we lived in Israel, we would light the menorah or the Chanukiah every night and sing the prayer and enjoy our fried foods, our latkes or levivot. Also, another traditional food is the sufganya, which is a special Hanukkah donut, or a punchki is in Yiddish. And interestingly enough, we have friends here who are not Jewish, but they are of Polish descent, and potato pancakes and the punchki donuts are part of their holiday celebration as well, part of their Christmas celebration. And so, a lot of Jews in Poland, I guess, have very similar traditions just to non-Jews in Poland. So I thought that that was interesting. They had offered me a punchki, and I was like, "You have a Hanukkah donut? Where did you get that?" And they're like, "A Hanukkah donut? This is our Polish Christmas donut." Oh, well, that's a lovely tradition that Jews and Christians and I guess probably across Eastern Europe we all share, regardless of religion. So
Heidi, I have to hop in and just say, I just put an article in the chat from the New York Times this week that's written by the famed Jewish culinary book author, Joe Nathan. And it's all about Warsaw, Poland, and the Jewish and Polish traditions and how they're coming back and the history. It's a fascinating read. Hopefully people can access it. I know there's a paywall sometimes, but I think you get 10 articles free a month. It's a really neat read.
Oh, that's great. I'd love to read that.
And for all the Jeopardy people, menorah, there was a category, I think last night on Jeopardy, and Hanukkah was part of it, and they asked things like, what do you light on Hanukkah? And menorah was on there. It was Hanukkah, Christmas, and a few other holidays. It was very nice.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's how we celebrate. Sometimes we'll play dreidel with our chocolate coins, our Hanukkah gelt. Where did you put them? I think they're in the cupboard. But the American tradition tends to be to give gifts at Hanukkah. The Israeli tradition, not so much. So Asaf was surprised when he moved here and he's like, "Wait, what? Gifts at Hanukkah?" They traditionally will just, maybe grandparents might give their kids a little bit of spending money, or just the chocolate coins. So that's the gift giving at Hanukkah is more of an American thing. I think, trying to help Jewish kids feel not quite so bad about not getting Christmas and all the presents that come with that. But we play with the dreidel. And I was also really surprised to find when I moved to Israel that on the dreidel, so here in the States, we have nun, gimel, hey, and shin for the phrase Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there. And when I got to Israel, I saw a dreidel and it had a pay instead of a shin. And I thought, oh, it was at the market. And I thought, oh, this must be super cheap because it's a misprint. They put a pay instead of a shin. But it turns out in Israel, the dreidels say a pay because the phrase is Nes Gadol Haya Po, a great miracle happened here. So that was a little bit of a culture shock for me when I moved to Israel. And I was very surprised. It had never occurred to me that their dreidels would be different or that the phrase would be different. So that was fun. But the rules are the same. You do the same for pay as you do for shin. Put one in. But I like shin because it's easier to remember. Shin, put one in. Is there a phrase to remember pay? Pay.
We didn't really gamble or do any of that, no.
Just spun it for fun and then ate all the chocolate. The Hanukkah gelt.
Not in here.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. And I put an article for people to learn more about dreidel.
Great.
Oh, that.
Well, does anybody have any other questions? We've really loved cooking today. If anybody has any other questions, we'd love to hear them. Or if you're cooking along still and you're running into any trouble, let us know. Otherwise, we wish you all a very happy holidays. Thank you for coming into our kitchen and sharing our tradition with us. And we hope that you have a lovely, whatever celebrations are coming up for you and your family. We hope that you have a lovely holiday season.
Thank you. Let's give Heidi and her family a round of applause virtually with your favorite emoji or unmute. Thank you all so much. This has been so fun. And thank you to the cameraman, Asaf. Thank you.
Yeah, Chag Sameach to everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We'll post the recording soon and see you in 2023, everyone. Stay
Yeah,
safe.
looking forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.